Hey guys, welcome back to Off Script. I'm Connor.
I'm Brendan.
We just finished watching I watched it over a few days. Brendan watched it all at once. Zack Snyder's Justice League hit, and holy crap, it's a very different movie.
Very different. I don't think I could have expected how different it was, actually.
Yeah, no, I made fun of this movie, so let's preface this. I kind of pick on Zack Snyder a lot, because this guy, the visionary behind Batman vs. Superman, you're like, that's good, awesome. Awesome. That movie that was long as all hell never ended. It was boring from start to basically the last hour where all we see is stuff blowing up. And then once we blow stuff up, everything blows up. Why do I want to watch this guy's version of Justice League? I was like, the one I got was fine, and I never have to worry about seeing it ever again. Watched it on HBO Max. Basically I give it 4 out of 5 stars immediately. Awesome movie.
Yeah. Totally. I think for me, it's 4.5. I actually love this. To be clear, I wasn't one of those people online who was like, oh, release the Snyder Cut. I was like, whatever. I don't really care. I have Marvel. I have all these other things. I don't need this. And I still feel like I don't need it. But I feel like it was a one-of-a-kind kind of thing that we'll probably never kind of see happen again.
No, now I want more, though.
You'll talk about that, I'm sure.
Yeah, we'll talk about that, yeah.
I didn't feel like I needed this, and then turns out this is actually a really big deal for the movie industry. The fact that fans and fan involvement can make this happen and actually put money into this is really crazy. So kudos to everyone who had this overwhelming desire to watch this movie. It was great.
Yeah, game changer. So with that being said, we actually have 2 episodes for this. One episode's going to be just us discussing it more in detail, kind of like we just did in the opening. This episode, however, we're going to actually compare kind of the characters and the different development that they took place, because quite frankly, the characters in this are significantly better, I will say, from top to bottom, than in the original. Which is it's just so funny because I can't emphasize it enough. I did not expect much from this movie. And this is a very different movie than what I watched in theaters 2 years ago or 3 years ago, Brendan, with you. So,
yeah, very different. We were kind of when we came out of that theatrical version.
I was bullish. I was bullish on it.
I was like, that was. It was boring at times, but I don't know. I wasn't a huge DC guy at that point. Yeah. I was kind of okay. Nathaniel actually was the one who was like, that was bad. He was very much like, that was a terrible movie. And I was like, I don't know if it's that terrible, but now looking back on it, I'm like, yeah, that was just not good at all.
Yeah, I'm a big DC guy, so I grew up loving Batman, Superman, TV. They had a bunch of animated shows when I was a little kid, so Batman was always really cool for me. And for them to actually do this right is awesome. So let's kind of jump into this. We'll just kind of discuss all the characters here. Thanks for listening, and let's jump on in. I'm stoked. This actually was an awesome movie. So if you haven't seen it, spoilers coming. Go watch the movie. Don't listen to us, and then listen to us in 5 hours. Brendan, we're gonna pop right in here. So all these characters have massive changes. Biggest one, I think we both agree on, probably Cyborg, which most people don't really care about. I knew him from the Teen Titans as a kid. He's on the TV show. But in this movie, actually, OG movie, let's compare that first. Well, I'll tackle the OG. Kind of this, not even bratty teen, but just, you don't understand why he's upset. He should have died, but we don't really even know how. And then, his dad kind of brought him back to life. Maybe we know it's some other box. I don't even remember that much. But I remember it ends with him being like, booyah. And you're like, this is such unnecessary. Brendan, we see a huge change here. Why don't you kind of go in depth? Not in depth, but what is one of the things you noticed from this episode? Or from this movie, rather. Sorry.
Yeah.
From the previous.
Yeah, so Cyborg is probably the biggest change of any character. And I think the big thing with him is that in the original, you said it well, in the original, you kind of don't know what he's about. He's just kind of a brat. You're right, it's like a bratty teenager. But in this, we actually, it fills in a lot of the gaps in his story that it feels like they just cut for the sake of time in a weird way in the Joss Whedon cut. But yeah, there's a lot of, I think the biggest thing is his backstory. You get a lot of that. I think like it was actually a pretty cool backstory. He basically, and again, spoilers, you haven't seen it, you should go watch it. But he gets in, he's like a football star. His dad's not really around for him that much. He works at Star
research,
Labs.
right?
Yeah, he's kind of like a obsessive scientist. He's like Lex Luthor, but like not crazy.
Interesting, yeah.
So, so yeah, his dad's not really around. And then he gets in a car accident. His mother's killed in the car accident, and then he basically almost dies. But his dad uses the mother box to basically, like, he is part mother box now. He like fuses the mother box.
Right?
Yeah, very interesting.
The combination of his son and his research, and the son doesn't feel guilt as much as kind of like disdain towards his father, because like, I'm now the research that you love so much. Congratulations.
Exactly. Yeah.
We didn't get any of that in the OG.
No. So like right away, I'm now like, I know what's happening with the character. I'm more invested in the character. I care emotionally more about the character. And the relationship with his father is now, this is another big thing about new change about the movie, is it's a lot stronger of a connection.
Yes. Yes. All right, so second with that, I do want to say, what's interesting with him is that we also get a breakdown of his actual powers, right?
Yeah.
So we didn't really get that last time, where I love his dad has a monologue where he basically says, and they do a good job animating this, where I like that, where it doesn't look real, it's supposed to be like animated. He's in this other world. Mm. But basically, you now have access to hack into any computer you want to. You can do anything you want. We see him actually change, like give this older woman, or this woman who's struggling, doesn't have a lot of money, he is able to see her life story through cameras and basically see her generosity, and then is able to give her $100,000 of his own volition. Like, he's just able to do it. And it's like this, okay, so you see kindness, right, which is huge in any superhero movie, I think, because the whole point is these people have powers that none of us can imagine. And if one of us has those powers, what do you do with them, right? Mm-hmm. And the point is he uses kindness here to help this woman out. With that being said, actually looking at it, I think we kind of discussed this before, but his theme is dealing kind of with brokenness, right? And after I actually found out, so I thought his daughter died actually of a drug overdose, so I apologize. That's not what it was. Actually, she killed herself. So Zack Snyder. So that's kind of the prelim coming into this. What's interesting about this clip is it's very much this like depressed figure, right?
Yeah.
And he does get the option at the end to kind of go with a fake world. Mm-hmm. Or stay in the real one, and he chooses the real one. He pushes the mother boxes away. Yeah. Because he's like, I'm not alone. Like, I have friends now, right? I have family. And I think really kind of meta.
I think that was my favorite moment emotionally in the movie at the end, where he's separating the mother boxes, and he has this decision to make of like, do I want to, stay? Like, I hated being alive like 2 weeks ago. Like, do I want to stick with that? Like, do I want to like just move on? And he does. I think it's super interesting, like how much it was just related to, I'm sure, what Zack Snyder was feeling. Like, and this was like filmed way before any of that happened, which is like kind of crazy. Yeah. So I think that was like a really big thing for the movie. I think it was a really big thing for Zack Snyder. So I think seeing that, I'm really glad that this movie got made. Because it really tells a lot of like really important stories, I think.
And we learn how broken kind of everyone is, right? Mm-hmm. That's the idea, is no one's perfect, and that's okay, right? Even these like godlike creatures, which in Marvel, they're just normal people. DC does kind of create these characters. They're godlike beings. They just are. Yeah. And we see all of them struggle at some point in this movie, which is nice, actually. Like, it does make it... People say you don't want to see a realistic superhero movie. This is kind of it. We haven't talked Falcon Winter Soldier yet, but we see something like that in there too. No spoilers, but it is kind of nice seeing these quote-unquote heroes. Yeah, they struggle with real stuff, right? And their real stuff might be, hey, I could have prevented a bomb from blowing up and it didn't. And we can't relate to that, but it could be something as simple as, I don't know, like, a friend broke his arm because I was being stupid. We were horsing around, right? And now he's in a hospital. Yeah. Right, or something more serious. So anyway, with that being said, Cyborg, much better, much more improved. Needless to say.
Yeah, and shout out to Ray. I think Ray Fisher absolutely kills it. I totally get why now that I've seen the movie, I get why Ray Fisher was such a big like Snyder Cut guy. It makes a lot of sense. Like he really got the shaft in the Joss Whedon version, and DC kind of did him wrong in a lot of ways. So I'm really happy for him, and hopefully this leads to more success for him in the future, because I think he's actually a great actor and he deserves a shot.
He does. I mean, he's excellent in this show. Oh my gosh, he was in True Detective. I was thinking about that. But he's excellent in the movie. What's more important for him, I think, as an actor, is he kind of brings this cool character to life that I'd kind of always known as a kid. And I'm not saying like that impacts me anyway. Like I'm not like, wow, I'm so moved by this. I'm not. But what's cool about it is like, all right, this makes sense how he becomes what he becomes. And that's interesting to me. So,
yeah.
All right, so next, actually, let's move on to another character who I think is much more improved. So the Flash in this one, some cool energy. I want to talk about his opening scene real quick. That was pretty bonkers and kind of awesome. That was real cool.
So we first get to see his super speed, and just his like overall demeanor. It's goofy. It's like classic Flash. Like if you watched any of the animated stuff or read comic books, he very much is like the Tom Holland Spider-Man of this whole thing. Like he doesn't really know why he's here, but like he's just happy to be here kind of vibe. No, but the opening scene I thought was really awesome. Like he like that. I just love how they shot that. And the way that they shoot all of his like super speed stuff, it's really like just like time stops and he just kind of gets to do whatever he wants.
I love the CW version, right? Because I always kind of make fun of it because CW is obviously like this guy just running on a treadmill. And they're like, my name is Barry Allen. I'm the and like it's clear he's not like that fast. No. Where this was cool, because there's no real, I think, good way to do super speed. I think the best way is probably X-Men and Days of Futures Past.
Yeah.
And they take a lot from that and put it into this movie. So right. I think that's the best way to go about it. So
definitely. And we get to see Iris West in this little scene.
Wife?
And she's coming back for the Flash movie, so we get a little peek at her. So I thought that was they like kind of like immediately set up that relationship. So Zack Snyder like does everything in this movie. There's nothing he doesn't do, and it's definitely one of those. I thought it was a cool touch, and it shows like Barry has like just a really big heart. I think he is he really is that like friendly neighborhood guy. In the way that Spider-Man is.
As less annoying in this movie.
Definitely.
Let's speak on that because we didn't mind him in the first one. And then actually on rewatch, I think with your parents one time where he just did like a Saturday night movie, we watched it and I was like, God, he's kind of annoying as hell. Like he doesn't shut up. It's too much. You know how at the end of this movie, he's kind of like, cool. Like, look what we all just did. Man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
He's like that, but 24/7. And it's just, it wears thin, where this version felt a little more organic, where even his quibs with Batman, where I can't remember the exact line, but something like, it's like high intensity figure skating. I was like, that's kind of
I do very competitive ice dancing.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah, exactly. And I was just like, yeah, it's pretty funny, right? And even the Batman line, I laugh about like the I'm rich line, right? For some reason, their whole discussion there just felt more natural. And it could have been the exact same carbon copy as from the original Justice League to the new one. This one, for some reason, feels more natural. I think it's because we do a little more backstory with this stuff.
Exactly.
I think that's all it is.
And I think that's important. And there's a lot of, I think for Cyborg and Flash, there's a lot of fatherhood elements. And we get some of the Flash's scenes with him and with his dad. And they kind of, I'm going to make the Spider-Man connection again. They don't do the Flash origin in this movie like they did Cyborg. Yeah. Because I think Zack Snyder knows, like, okay, we've seen this before, right? Like, it's not.
You also don't.
It's also a very complicated. It's also a very complicated backstory. Yeah. So they basically just set it up like, okay, his dad's in prison for a murder he didn't commit, and Barry's trying to like get him out. Like that's his only focus is trying to get him out, and his dad's telling him to move on with his life. Like, okay, we're immediately grounded in this character and invested in this character, right? And then I think from that moment on, and the rest of the stuff he does is like we call back to that moment of like, okay, this is how he is actually moving on from trying to like get his dad out of jail. Like he's actually moving on. Like he gets a real job at the end. He does all these things with the Justice League.
Well, I remember the last one. It was like, I got a job with Wayne Enterprises. Like they gave me this, and this one's actually way more organic. Where like, it's just like, I got a job in a crime lab.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, it's a real job. Yeah, it's a real job. And it's like, oh, awesome. Like, it just feels, like I said, more natural. And I think that's what's important is that I could see a father basically telling him, son, you got to move on. Get away from me. And then now it's like, no, like, I want to do this for you. I want to find this justice. I want to help you. So I really love that. And then at the end, I will say what was really cool is the Flash and Cyborg combined actually have an amazingly important role in the final battle. They actually, like, Cyborg's the one pulling apart the mother boxes, making sure, because once they unify, the world basically turns like Apocalypse or Darkseid can show up. So his job is to pull him apart, and then the Flash goes and touches him, right? And we get sneak peeks of like moving backwards in time through, which is just so important. And I just don't understand why Whedon was just trying to fly through this movie. I mean, I laughed. I saw something where DC demanded it be at least 2 hours because it's a blockbuster. Whedon made it, guess how long?
Probably like hour and 30 minutes.
No, he didn't.
Oh. I thought you were saying how long he originally wanted to do it. Yeah, it's like 2 hours and like 1 minute or something like that.
1 minute. Yeah, I mean, just the guy was just an asshole about it. Pardon me, but that's just what it boils down to. So it was so cool seeing these two characters who we're new with, right? And then even Barry, like, kind of at the end has that moment where like Cyborg's having the moment, right, with his stuff. Barry has the moment of like, you're not a loser. Like, this is what you're meant to do. Like, you can save, like, you can do all this. It's just kind of amazing.
I think so with Cyborg and Flash, I think as we're going to move on from these characters, I think it's safe to say they are the biggest gains from this film because I think Zack Snyder really does care about these characters, and it now makes sense. Like in the Whedon cut, it was like it seems like they're there just to have more people on the Justice League, but now it's like, okay, they're actually there and they have really important roles on the team, and like they are integral parts of the like, and there really are people first. And
it's not just Barry
people
saving people. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of what it felt like was Barry's just out saving people in the OG one,
right?
And then the Snyder one is actually they need him to win like that. He's actually a very important point in winning this whole thing. So So
we will talk. We will talk about the cool moments with the Flash. I'm sure in the
other one,
in the part two of
part
this.
2. Yep.
Yeah.
So all right. So next one. Let's go Aquaman. All right, I want to start here. Aquaman has it's a darker origin, a darker beginning. Atlantis looks way cooler. Atlantis stuff with him is way more interesting. It's just everything with this is more interesting. And even like it's kind of weird, like that folk song I was laughing about at one point. I mean, I understand why Whedon probably cut some of it because like we don't need this, but it's like it's weird and it's kind of good. Like like he's not really a good person. But he really has a good heart, right? And that's kind of, I think, the point of a lot of these movies, Zack Snyder's movies, is like, they're not good people, but like they also are kind of doing stuff just for show. Like in reality, like they're good people. So what'd you think about, I thought actually the stuff with William Dafoe was actually really cool.
Yeah, I thought that was super, like that's actually a great lead into the Aquaman movie, way more than what we got in the Whedon version. Like I was thinking, like, oh, I kind of want to go back and watch Aquaman. I don't know if I've ever said that, but I just think that, I mean, when I think of that Aquaman character and like where he's at in Justice League, like it's just he's in a weird place. Like he doesn't know where he fits. He just drinks a lot. He's just a kind of a degenerate, and he just kind of hates everything. And he just kind of wants an excuse to let out his anger a little bit. And I think like in that first scene with where Bruce Wayne tries to recruit him, like that really shows you just like, I don't really care. Like, whatever, I'll just do my own thing, and if duty calls, I'll probably be there, but I'm not going to tell you until I show up 3 minutes beforehand. So he really just doesn't care. He reminded me a lot of like he was very much like you said, he's very much a darker character. He reminded me a lot of Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy. Like he doesn't really, he's very stoic, but also has these moments of like just, you know, the classic Drax moments where it's like he doesn't really get it. Like, he's not really in the moment, but like he just likes to go ham and like stab people. And he's just kind of a goofy character.
Yeah, I think they did. I think they knocked it out of the park initially. Yeah, OG. Also, Aquaman. I'm calling it OG just because it was the first one, but it's actually not, which is hilarious. But so Whedon cut Aquaman is kind of a dumbass. Like they just have a lot of dumb scenes with him. I don't know how to describe it. It's just not very interesting. I was very much against kind of like what they did. I was like, oh yeah, he's cool. This one, you're like, no, he's cool. Like he actually has all these powers. The Mira stuff is really strong. I'm more invested in their relationship actually.
Yeah, 100%. I just think Aquaman's a badass in this movie.
Yeah,
total badass. I mean, the action that he has in the final battle, he goes toe to toe with Steppenwolf and almost beats him. Like he's actually like, I mean, he's powerful. Like, you know, it's Aquaman. So you're like, all right. So, like, he talks to fish. And the Whedon cut, my least favorite line in that entire film is, Arthur Curry, I hear you can talk to fish. And it's like, oh, that is such a bad line. Like, it's so bad.
Do they say that in this one?
No, they don't. Thank God.
Do they really not?
They don't at all. I was really, really excited when he didn't say that. So, I mean, that not being in there is just proof that Zack Snyder cares a lot more about this character.
What's funny is I remember laughing about this movie because they were like, it's going to be more funny. I remember before he left the project, they were like, hey, it's going to be a funnier movie. And it is. It actually has just enough humor in it where you're like, it's kind of funny. Like, it's clever. Where I don't think it's drop dead like, but ha. It's not like Marvel funny.
It's not Guardians of the Galaxy. Like,
no, but it doesn't have to be. It's like it's kind of a perfect level of combination where, you know, I laughed like at one point they have this serious conversation and you can tell like Bruce Wayne tells him just as like, you know, but he's Batman. I think Aquaman's like, dressed as a bat. Yeah, cool, man.
I dig it.
It's just kind of silly. But then like we do kind of bounce, like even the Flash at the time where he turns around, everybody's gone and Flash like, oh shoot, they always do that?
Yeah.
It's funnier this time because it's not constant. You don't just have a constant stream of just annoying.
Exactly. There's no like tropes of like superhero comedy. It really is a more serious movie, but it also is actually funnier because the jokes that land. And there's no like jokes that are bad.
Of them. Yeah, there's
exactly.
like 10 or 20.
100%.
And then that's all you need. You don't need just this whole thing to be a comic reel. So, yeah, man, I like Aquaman. I think he benefited a lot from Zack Snyder. You know what? I will say Jason Momoa has always ridden very hard for Zack Snyder. Yeah. And I think when you read the script, you understand why. Because I think it's very strong.
100%.
Towards him in particular. So
I love his conversation with Wonder Woman that he has when they're going to dig Superman's body up. Like it really is that moment where like, oh, like Atlanteans and Amazons are actually not as different as we've said in the past. Like I like that moment a lot. So Aquaman definitely benefits from the Snyder cut for sure.
Yep, and he has a lot of power. I do love just kind of how strong he is in general. Like I mean, he's kind of cutting through parademons like crazy. And you're like,
yeah, I mean it's amazing how that trident actually is a pretty badass weapon.
Yeah, man, yeah, it's sweet.
It's just a giant fork.
Mira talking about his mom. It's just it's interesting. It interests me. That's it. Like
absolutely,
I want to see what happens next. That's which is more important probably for.
Totally.
WB. They're going forward. They're listening. They're so write that down.
Exactly.
Cool. All right. So why don't we kind of move on to Wonder Woman? So now the big three, Wonder Woman, Batman, Superman, are kind of the ones we have left here. Wonder Woman, I don't have a lot here other than one. I want to say what's kind of going back to the idea of brokenness. I love how her and Steppenwolf kind of go back and forth on this, right? So I think you mentioned her action sequences are really cool in this movie.
Yeah. Really cool. I found her actions, like, she's, like, super powerful in this movie in a way that we really haven't seen, and we didn't even see in Wonder Woman 1984. Like, I mean, she's literally, like, she's a 1,000-year-old demigod. Like, she should be treated like a 1,000-year-old demigod, and
going
she is.
toe-to-toe with...
Yeah,
like it's not cheetah. It's not just kind of
absolutely
dumb. It doesn't feel forced.
I think the thing about 1984 was that they tried to they used the whole like Maxwell Lord thing to diminish her abilities to kind of bring her down a level. They kind of tried to do Kryptonite with Superman, but Wonder Woman style, and it didn't work. It just didn't land.
That was a disaster. Yeah.
You have to treat Wonder Woman like, I mean, she is a god, but there also is that, human element in her. So like she has a little bit of both. So she's not going to be Superman, but she's not going to be, like a random woman.
But she can go stand toe to toe with someone like Steppenwolf in this.
Exactly. Movie. Like she does have a lot of power, and she has these really cool, unique abilities, like the gauntlet ability that she has. I think they used that a lot in this, which that's my favorite ability of hers. So I thought they really did a great job with her.
No, and then in terms of like, I remember the big fight on the mascara, which amazing start to this, amazing intro for Steppenwolf as a character. I mean, I just can't speak highly enough on that. I love the arrow shot, right, where she shoots it, it lands, and then she goes and picks it up, puts it in. The holder drops down, sees like the pictures of Darkseid and everything, and she realizes like, okay, this is what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then we get, of course, Darkseid. We'll talk about him in a little bit, but really kind of just it adds this idea that these are broken people. It's someone who is unfortunately away completely from her family. Right? Her sisters, her mother, like she's going completely away from them, has to live in the real world, so to speak, and is kind of like, God, like I'm failing them. And I love how Steppenwolf goads her at one point and says, when your mother died.
Yeah.
And she's like, you're lying. But she doesn't know.
Yeah. She has no idea.
It just adds to its layers, man. It's just these people, like, she cares about something more than herself. It's just that's all. So I did love kind of what they did for her. Any other thoughts you have?
I mean, not really. I mean, I really liked what they did with her. She really is like takes on that leadership role, and we'll get into that with Batman a little bit. But I mean, she is like that one of the founding. Like you believe that she's one of the founding members because she really does care. She has a lot of care about people. She really is a people person, and she really is that character where she doesn't want to fight, but she has when she has to fight, she's gonna give it 100%. Like that's what I always appreciate about her. Like she's kind of like the peaceful one until it comes down to a fight. Then she will kick your ass. But so that's what I love about her.
Yeah, that's a good pick. All right, so we got Batman, Superman left here on the Justice League side. Batman, I kind of want to just say that Snyder nails this version. He's way better in this than Batman, Superman.
I mean, after watching this movie, I mean, Ben Affleck is my favorite Batman. When I think of Batman, I think of him just because I think he nails the physique of Batman, and I think I think he's the first one to really be a great Batman and a great Bruce Wayne. He does a really good job being both. And I think Zack Snyder really just loves Batman a lot, and it really shows. Like, he really gives Batman the cool stuff to do, I think, in a lot of these movies. Like, he's always the first one to go into a fight. Like, he's just not afraid. Like, he just doesn't care. Like, classic Batman. He's like, I'll go. Not a big deal. Let me take my big tank into the fight.
Yeah.
Who cares?
And then him, like, going and even... I kind of laugh about him using guns because I just don't care anymore. Like, yeah, whatever. Like, sure.
It's sweet. Yeah.
But then, like, the grappling gun I saw that he uses, like, an old school one. I'm like, God, that's so cool. Like,
yeah.
Snyder really does have a little bit of affinity for it, where he's like, yeah, this guy's awesome. Like, he uses kind of old school technology blended with some new school stuff. So, mulling through Parademons was bomb, by the way.
Ooh. Yeah,
bomb
he is.
Yeah,
that, I mean, he's unique, Batman, because he doesn't have this. He doesn't have superpowers. He doesn't have crazy abilities or anything like that.
He puts his team together, and he doesn't have any of it.
He doesn't. Yeah, he puts the whole team together, but he doesn't have any abilities. So they're all like, "Hey, Batman, lead us," and he's like, "Well, I can't really do I can't run around. I can't stop time. I can't do all this stuff." But he somehow finds a way to be the most badass in every fight.
It's awesome.
He grapples parademons and it's really cool. Like the fight where they go rescue Cyborg's dad. We'll wait to get into that until the next part. But I just love how he. I mean, he's just Batman. When I think of Batman in the context of Justice League, I think of Batman just finding a way to tackle a couple little things on the side while everyone else just goes ham, and there's Batman just like shooting people, like bang bang, like
middle of the action. Yeah, dude.
yeah, it's really funny. And he gets a lot of cool tech. He gets a lot of cool tech too.
I'll say him and Alfred actually way cooler, I think, in this.
Yeah.
Alfred, he's a very much, Batman in this is I think, more human, right? He's like, I have faith. And just like, that's it. Hey, I believe. Like, and I think it's going to happen. And it's something as simple as that, right? Where you kind of love that. And his tech, though, is awesome in this, man. His suit in the final fight, whew.
Yeah, the wrist gauntlets, those are pretty damn cool. So
really cool. Yeah, exactly. So I'm trying to think of anything else. I guess maybe we can talk about him and Superman, where I think there's kind of an interesting relationship here, obviously knowing the previous movie. Previous movie I don't love, so I don't even need to talk about that. But just knowing that, hey, they fought, right? Batman is the reason why, like, Superman might be dead. It's a combination of everything, right?
Yeah.
I do like the idea that he does have this debt, right, to pay. Mm-hmm. And he feels that he kind of wears that on his chest, like, pretty hard.
Yep.
So, yeah, that is kind of, it's really the primary source, I think, for him moving forward. But, you know, initially, I think he's the one that catches a parademon in the very first episode, very first movie. And then, like, the parademon explodes, and there's, like, 3 other boxes, and it's like, oh, they're after these boxes. And now you're like, this movie opens up with, like, Superman's scream wakens up all the mother boxes, which are, like,
yeah, like that, way better.
Way cooler.
Yeah.
But with that being said, Batman is just more human, right? He feels like, it doesn't feel rushed. Mm-hmm. There's just, like, there's this unspoken thing between him and Wonder Woman, obviously, which, I mean, hey, I'm all in for that, whatever. But he's a leader. Like, they look to him here. Him and, like, their
100%
heads.
And I think I remember the theatrical cut, he just has these dumb lines where it's like, there's no way Batman would say that. Like, It just doesn't make any sense. Like, he's just awkward. Like, he's intimidated by Aquaman. I'm like, he's Batman. You kidding? Like, he literally, like, has been fighting in Gotham City, which is, like, I mean, like, the most ghetto place in the world, and like, fighting for 20 years in Gotham City. Like, Robin was murdered. Like, he would not be intimidated by Aquaman. Like, I mean, I think this movie, he's a lot more badass. So
it makes more sense. Yeah, like, everybody kind of is. This movie, yeah, he really is a leader. He doesn't care about that stuff. He realizes, like, Diana brings, like, hey, this is going down. Yeah. And he's like, okay, we need to work together, right? So, but yeah, with that being said, Superman, I love this. I think our notes, you put that Superman is given a second in this. Mm-hmm. He is really given a second to breathe and kind of relax, and it's a second chance. But more importantly, we can kind of soak up some of Henry Cavill. Great in this. I feel bad for him because he's excellent. He is an excellent actor in this. Yeah. And he really does a good job. Just, it's relaxing, right? It's a relaxing presence. It's a sobering presence. It is someone where, like, but when he goes and fights, he's not just corny and cheesy and says all these silly lines like truth, justice, and the American way. Where you're like, yeah, I don't need all that, man. Like, this guy's not like that. He just isn't.
He's not. He's an alien.
Yeah, but, like, he's from Kansas. He's from Kansas, and that's what I think is so cool about it. And I think Superman kind of in this one. The fight scene is still very funny, if I'm being honest. Yeah. Still kind of humorous. So the Flash is like, "Whoa, what the hell?" Like, Jesus, fast as me. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It just, I feel like we have some time. Him going and seeing Alfred, really cool.
Yeah, really cool. I just think with Superman in this version, there is a bigger reason for him to show up. It's not for the sole purpose of, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we had Superman? Like, it's very much like, okay, in order to literally save the existence of humanity, we need Superman because Superman intimidates people and, like, puts the fear of God in them. Like,
he's the ultimate ace in the hole, right?
Like I mean, he's the wild card. He's the wild card. Yeah.
Like, he uses super breath, I laugh, like the ice breath on the sword and destroys it immediately. And you're like, oh, yeah, okay, like, yep.
Mm-hmm. We don't get to see the ice breath that much. And, the one time we do,
That's really awesome.
Cool. He has so many different abilities, and he's just a wild card. I think when I saw the scene of where he goes back to Kansas and he was standing in the field, I was like, that is Superman right there. Like, I believe that is Superman. Like, Henry Cavill, like, looks like Superman, acts like, I mean, it's amazing. He does such a good job.
Not a good Clark Kent. Noted.
Nope.
Not a good Clark Kent.
And I think Zack Snyder realizes that. I think Zack Snyder kind of realized that he's not. That's why he just gave him less stuff to do as Clark Kent.
Yeah,
he's like, he's not really Clark Kent, but he's Superman. I mean, he is Superman.
Yeah, he's Superman. Yes, exactly. But yeah, and then it ties it all together. The ending's awesome. We'll talk about that more later. But just the fight where you see Superman just beating the bejesus out of Steppenwolf, you're like, yeah, this guy. I mean, whole nother level. So, Brendan, let's kind of talk about our last two characters.
Yeah.
Steppenwolf in this movie is 50 times better than in the first one.
I don't even think there is a number associated to how much better Steppenwolf is than this film. I mean, I was looking back because I couldn't believe how different he looks in this version, and how much more, how much better of a villain he is. He just immediately, when he shows up, immediately is just way more intimidating. He has way more purpose, and he just makes sense in this movie in a way he didn't in the Joss Whedon version. Like, Steppenwolf is not the be-all, end-all of everything like he is in the Joss Whedon version. Like, remember when I was seeing that, I was like, am I supposed to be intimidated by Steppenwolf? He looks like a dude with a hat. Like, he's not. Like, this one, he's like, okay, yeah, he's huge, and he can, like, almost beat Wonder Woman. So, like, I should probably be intimidated by him. And I am.
Her. Like, they got lucky. Yep. Like, they saved her.
Yep.
And, like, but then, like, he's desperate. Like, he's desperate. He's like an exiled general who just wants to do anything possible to get back to his countryside.
Mm-hmm. 100%.
And it's like, I'll give you Earth. And they're like, we need 50,000 more. And he's like, okay, like, I'll do it.
Yeah.
I'll give you 50,000 if that's what it takes.
100%.
And then he's like, I've got the anti-life equation. That's another we'll kind of jump into Darkseid briefly. Yeah. But, yeah, man, just more interesting, more powerful. Mm-hmm. It's obvious he's more powerful. The aesthetic of his lair.
Yeah, I think.
Thank goodness they got rid of
that. Is some of the
Russian
best.
Family. That's
some of the best CGI I think I've seen. Like, he looks really good. Like, his armor looks sweet. He's a way more believable villain. Somehow, even though he looks crazier in this version, he's just way more. When I think of, like, who would the Justice League need to face, I'd be like, oh yeah, him. Like, that's the kind of person. He's the kind of person that I believe the Justice League would have to go and face.
And the fight scene against the Amazons is amazing. Amazing way to start
like, it really shows off his abilities in that fight for sure.
Yeah, same thing. Atlanta's pretty good, but then, like, him going around torturing the people, it's just like Cyborg reacting negatively to his dad immediately. It's just it's all really, really powerful stuff. And then, of course, the final battle is just amazing. And we get some shots of then Darkseid and your girl Granny Goodness. Darkseid doesn't have a lot to do in this. Amazing. Like, I rank, like, that's what he's in for 4 minutes, and I'm like, this is freaking awesome.
It's kind of funny because, like, he doesn't have a lot to do, but at the same time, it's like he's the most memorable part of the movie. Because, I mean, he's freaking Darkseid, man. Like, oh my gosh.
Well, and then when they cut Steppenwolf's head off and send it back through the boom tube and they're all standing there, that's when you're like, yeah, this movie's awesome. Like, this is awesome. Like, they're sending literally the dead general back as, like, come at us.
I think that is a really cool one. I think my favorite like, the part where I was like, okay, this is a really good movie, was where Steppenwolf uses this, like, giant rock, I guess, that, like, kind of like a hologram in Star Wars. I don't really know what's going on.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah,
it's a cool way to do it. He talks to Darkseid a lot, and then I love how when he talks about the anti-life equation, like, it doesn't even show Darkseid; it just, like, shows Steppenwolf, and the music in that scene is absolutely incredible. Like, it is amazing. Like, Darkseid's theme plays, and Darkseid shows up, and it's, like, such a cool scene. And then right away, you're just like, wow, this is like, I want a sequel. Please.
I want a sequel. Give me a sequel. Yeah. Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Man.
So, is that everything on the characters? I mean, honestly, overall, excellent. Like, as you can tell, we're pretty bullish on this. I loved it. Loved all of it. So, is that all the characters we kind of want to cover here?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. There's a couple more little characters, but we'll save that for part 2, I think.
Yeah, part 2. Yeah, we want to actually dive into the movie itself, kind of the relationship it has with the internet, how the internet kind of created thing, and then what the reaction is, like what our actual. I mean, obviously we like the movie, but we want to actually get into depth, like what scenes we liked, what we want to go with here. So, but yeah, characters, like thumbs up. Well,
a lot of awesome stuff here, 100%.
All right, well, guys, I hope you guys listened to our other episode. If you listened to the other one first, listen to this one second. Enjoy.
Yep.
We have a lot of stuff to plug here. We got Godzilla versus Kong coming up, and then what else we have, Brendan? We have some. Fucking Winter Soldier here and there.
Yeah.
So we have Clubhouse tonight. Actually, on Monday. So
that's gonna be tonight. On what day is it?
The
22nd. All right. So tonight, the 22nd.
We're filming this on Sunday, so when you listen to it, you're gonna.
Yeah. So we'll be talking about that. That'll be fun. And ladies and gentlemen, I went to see a movie in a theater this weekend, which was really awesome. I saw Ryan the Last Dragon, which I give a solid 7 out of 10, and
we'll take it.
It was great. It was in a movie theater, and I was happy. So here's to Black Widow, keeping its May 7th day.
Well, all right, guys. Well, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you guys on next time.
See ya.